So we don't want to get too crazy with modeling extra bits onto the face, but we do want to have enough geometry to work with to create a nose. So what I want to do right now is that same thing we did with the fingertips, which is where we did a bevel, we did a extrude inner, and then we moved that piece of the face off of the finger. So let's do that right now. Let's do M and then W for extrude inner. It's going to create this new shape right at the center of this, and then we're going to actually move this in towards the middle. Okay, and really reduce it down in size as well. This is just so that we have a shape to work with that's off of the face and it's centered up. Okay, so with that done, what we can do is make sure that this and this are in the center. I'm not sure they're exactly centered, so what I want to do is make sure that these are all selected when I scale in. Yeah, they are. Okay, and then we're going to work with these edges a little bit. Yeah, each time I do that, I'm going to have to readjust where that center point is. All right, and then we want to move this point in quite a bit. And we may end up adding some more geometry to define this. So let's go ahead and add a loop right along here. And let's move this point in towards the face a little bit more. Okay, so this was a quick and dirty way to just add more geometry to the front of the face. You can see how it's stretching too many of these polygons out from where they should be. So having enough loops, which I don't want to add a whole loop to the entire body. So, but maybe what I'll do is I'll start to draw a loop from here to here and add more geometry to allow us to have more definition in this part of the face. Okay. Yeah, we are going to have to center these nose points back up again. So I'll just grab these points. Whoa. Make sure we are centered. They're not off by much, but they're off by enough that it will cause problems there. And I'm going to add even a little bit more definition on the end of this by doing another bevel. Another extrusion, M, then T. Okay. So because we're in symmetry mode, this is one thing I'll talk about right now. This has created on the inside a few edges that we do not need. So the way to get rid of those is really you can just delete this vertex. But also I might have to just delete this edge. Just like that. And like this. So it's not creating new geometry that meets right there in the middle. But this should be enough geometry to work with for our nose, because we're really just doing a really simple nose. It does not need to be anatomically correct by any means. You really just want to shape it. Oops. Okay. You just want to shape it enough that the it's readable. So yeah, we'll go back in and we'll adjust some of this geometry so that we have a little bit more definition. Like right here, I'll go ahead and just bring these a little bit closer to the center and make this go a little bit further back and up. So we're getting kind of pointy face here. We don't want that. We want this to be nice and smooth through here. Yeah, so edge flow out of the nose will go up to about right here. Let's just see what it looks like. This is kind of a fun part, is once you've done some modeling and you're like, okay, well, how's it actually going to look on the model? You can press that subdivision surface button, and just like that, we have kind of a nose there. It's not perfect, so I think I do want to do a little bit more modeling just to get it a little bit more attractive, I guess. Yeah, this is just all coming out a little bit too far. So what I want to do is just grab all these points, and I'll scale from that point back here. So if I move this axis by, about right there, I can undo the axis mode and scale it like this. Or again, you can just do some sculpting if you want. I'm on smooth mode, so you want it on smear if you want to do any kind of sculpting. I think this nose, I'd rather it be, a little bit more, just a little point, Move these into the center. Yeah, adding facial features can get very tricky very quickly. But if you try to keep it simple, just make it simple shapes, remember that you can do a lot with a simple extrusion or a bevel or adding an edge loop here and there and just kind of sculpting around and see what you get. So there we go. That's looking pretty good. It's looking good for what I want. One way to make sure that there is some nice definition on the end of the nose is, again, just to add another edge loop. So we'll do that right here. What's nice about having this extruded off of the face is that it creates new edge loops wherever you, along that new shape. So let's just add one right here at the edge, just to see what happens. And that's really defined where that nose is. I'm not sure if I like it all the way up here, so what I want to do instead is I would like to extrude out the sides of this nose a little bit. So I'm going to grab this one here. I'm going to do a quick little extrude with an M and a T. And I'm going to manipulate these edges to be a little bit closer to where it meets the face. So this one I want right in the middle, just so that it doesn't create too much definition up here, but it will create more definition where it meets the face right here, because I do want that nice fold of where the nose meets the kind of the upper lip. the closer these points are to the geometry that it's subdivided with, the more definition that it will look like it has right there. Let's move this point up just a little. All right, let's see how that looks. There you go. So it's not quite as long as I'd like, so I'm going to do a quick sculpt on that from the side. Kind of want to go up the face a bit more. And we'll do one last manipulation on these vertices. Hit apply, and there we have it. Got ourselves a little nose. You can, you can keep adjusting this to your liking to where it fits what your design is. But for now, I think I'm pretty happy with this nose. It's not too realistic. It's not too cartoony. It's kind of right in between, and that's going to work out just fine for our design. There we go. Yeah, I might even smooth this out a little bit. It might be a little bit too kind of defined here. The easiest way to do that is just to get out that smooth brush. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, we're going to move on to the ears, which are really just going to be unattached. We're just going to have those be little toruses or something that we can create quickly and attach to the head. I just want to point out, though, that we still have, when we turn on the subdivision surface, we've got the seam. Do not worry too much about that, because once we actually take it out of the symmetry object, we're going to be able to kind of smooth that out. So for now, let's just turn off the symmetry or the subdivision surface, and we're going to start to add these ears. Okay, so what I like to do for ears is I like to start with like a torus. And we'll turn it 90 degrees, so it's facing our character here, and we'll just reduce the size down and move it up a bit and out. And at this point, we'll go to our reference, start to shape it down. With stylized characters, having something like a torus for an ear is really not frowned upon. I mean, it gives it that little bit of appeal. And so I'm going to start working on the radii. Okay, I kind of like that thickness on that ear. And then what I'm going to do is add a cylinder to the inside of it. And what I like to do is just put the cylinder inside the torus and do a reset PSR. What that does is it zeroes out the cylinder and makes it so that it's actually right in the middle of that torus. Let's see what's happening here. Looks like it's right there, which is good. I want to reduce the height so that it's just right in the center of that ear. See that? So now we've got that ear shape. We'll call this an ear. And I'm going to combine these. I'm just going to do a middle mouse button click to grab both of those, and we're going to do a current state to object. What that does is it creates well, I guess what it did is it made it into editable objects, which is fine. But I do want to combine these together by doing a connect objects and delete. All right. Some things you want to model out meticulously. That's things like hands, faces, bodies, that kind of stuff. Some things it's better to just either use a pre-existing or just a really, really simple shape. And so right now what I want to do is rotate these out a little bit so they're a little bit more facing out this direction. It looks like they might need to come, about right there is actually okay. And then what we can do is we can do a command drag click to do a right ear. What I'm going to do is actually have these be actually separate objects inside of Cinema 4D, and then we'll have these parented to the bone of the head, very similarly to how we're going to treat the hair. So the hair, the ears, the eyes, and eyebrows will actually be separate objects off of this geometry, and that's for the purposes of, first of all, ease of modeling, but also ease of texturing, especially for the hair and for the eyes. We can have separate materials on those things without having to do selection tags on the polygons. So now that we've kind of duplicated that ear, let's just flip it in the x-axis by doing a -1. And I'm going to actually look at the coordinates here. We've got it at 28 point. Let's see what happens if I just do a negative on this. Yes, okay, that's good. And then I might need to also rotate it differently. So it looks like it was 30.4 degrees in the H, which is, I don't remember what that stands for, but if I just put a negative on that as well, it rotates it back in the direction that we need it to. So that's our ears. I'm going to go ahead and group these by doing an Alt-G or Option-G and just call it ears. And we'll just kind of put a pin in that. We're going to take, I forgot to delete this hand subdivision surface. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and name some of these things. We'll call it the woman symmetry, and this will be the woman SDS, subdivision surface. Okay, ears can just kind of live down here somewhere for now.